Hello, my name is Chris Evans, and I'd like to thank the search committee for allowing me to upload this videotape to YouTube so that you could get to know me a little bit before the main interview. As most of you probably know, I graduated from the University of Florida in 1981. In 1985, I began working on my master's degree in applied linguistics and ESL at Georgia State University under Dr. Pat Bird. In the fall of that year, I took a position as an English lecturer in the Qinghai Junior Teachers College located in Qinghai Province, which is a remote province in northwest China next to Tibet. The students I had at that time were young Chinese students, mostly Han, who had made the minimum score on a college entrance exam to get into the Junior Teachers College. Many of them did not want to be English teachers, had no desire to be English teachers, but because the government said this is the school that you'll go to and we'll pay for it, you must be an English teacher. So I had a lot of students in the classroom, but they weren't always the most motivated. I found this quite challenging as a 25-year-old new teacher, but I found through the years that I worked there that if you made the class interesting for them and it made it enjoyable for the students, and it didn't seem like learning too much to them because they had the Chinese teachers teaching them the grammar, they had Chinese teachers teaching them pedagogy, that my classes became the fun classes, the ones where they could hear native speakers and speaking English to them at a normal pace. And so I would teach them cultural aspects of the language, talk about holidays in America. We discuss how they were celebrated, what kind of decorations were used. I'd teach them songs. They particularly liked the 12 Days of Christmas. We did Old MacDonald. And I always tried to get them to show them that if you teach these songs to your kids, that'll make English fun. Now, of course, in a Chinese classroom, fun was the furthest thing from a teacher's mind, usually because you have about 60 students there, and you don't want to get too fun. But they appreciated, I think, the things that I could bring to the classroom that the other Chinese professors didn't have the background in. And I think the 3 years I spent there were very successful and encouraged me to become a teacher and go back and get my master's degree from Georgia State after that. In 1990, when I graduated with the master's, I returned to Qinghai Province to work at the Qinghai University with a language institute that was attached to the university at the time. At that time, I was teaching professors or doctors that were working on trying to get to the United States or some other English-speaking country. So they were highly motivated to study English. I had no trouble at all keeping their attention. In fact, they were always constantly trying to get me to come over to their house and not tutor them, but just to keep talking to them so they could practice their oral skills and listening skills, and also wanted to know strategies for passing these grammatical tests that they would take, and the writing tests and reading tests. So these students, there was no problem with motivation. Their Donways, their work units had paid for them to go to the Language Institute. They were paying them a lot, and so these students were very highly motivated. And I found that to be quite a refreshing change from my students from the Junior Teachers College. After that, I decided I got married, so I had a family to support, so we looked around and I tried to get an opportunity to take an opportunity and decided to take an opportunity at the King Fahd University of Petroleum Minerals. Paperwork got mixed up, so I couldn't start right away in the fall, so I returned to the States and started working at the University of Louisville, where I met a guy who actually was thinking about coming to, had just left to go to King Fahd University, so I kind of took his place for one term. After I got to King Fahd University, I met him there. We had a good relationship. We taught together, and the students in Saudi were a little bit more difficult to motivate in some cases. They were very closed in some ways, but we had a foundations program where I taught for a couple of years and then moved into the University English program, which is more of a writing and scientific writing class. Eventually I became director there, the University English program, putting together schedules for the teachers, resolving student issues that came up, and basically functioning as a director of a small 10-man team. After that, I applied to Dubai Men's College here in Dubai. I had a friend who had moved here and had some good things to say about it. I found the HCT, the Higher College of Technologies, to be a very, very cutting-edge facility. I think that they're really taking the lead in English language teaching, using technology, incorporating it into the classroom. Of course, there are positive aspects and negative aspects about technology in the classroom. We have a fully wireless campus. The students bring their laptops to class every day. This can be a challenge for the teacher because if their laptops are open, probably the students are downloading things, and it's very difficult to capture their attention to get them focused on their language learning. From the beginning, I've learned that the motivation has got to be there for the student to want to learn, but that the teacher can do things that maybe, if not to motivate them to learn, at least to get them to participate in the classroom. And I'm going to show you something that I've used in the classroom I think that works pretty well in getting the students' attention and can keep them focused for a while. And this is mainly for the speaking aspects. As you can see, this is a smart board. They're not in every classroom, but we have them in a majority of classrooms here at Divine Men's College. And usually what I do is I put up this website, onlinestopwatch.com. You see there's a 3-minute timer on it. What I would probably do in a class where we were working on presentations. A lot of my business students here have to make presentations at their job when they go to work and they graduate. So I tell the students, look, you should probably make your presentation last 3 to 5 minutes. Minimum 3 minutes, maximum 5. I will start the clock, give your presentation in front of the smartboard or where I'm sitting now, and make your presentation to the classroom with your laptop. They don't look back, they just make their presentation. After the presentation is finished, I say, okay, now turn around. What time is left? If they see there's, they've only been speaking for 30 seconds, they know that they've done something wrong. We can talk about it, ask the students, what do you think he needs to do? Ask the student, what does he think he can do better? Suggest things like slowing down the pace of delivery. You're maybe speaking too fast. Maybe adding a few more details. You haven't gotten a lot of information. And work on your slides. Maybe there's some things you could work on to make those transitions a little smoother. And I find that the students really respond to this. And it gets them in the mood to think about their future careers, because most of them are going to be working in businesses and they are going to be making presentations. And so I think they find this most useful. We have a lot of graduates that return to the classroom. They come and talk to the students, and they let them know that, yes, your projects that you work on and your presentations are going to be something that are very vital to you in your future career. So I think that when you find something that the students know is going to be important to their success, they're more than happy to participate and to take suggestions. I always tell my class it's like the coach in the soccer team. The coach was an old player, he doesn't play anymore, but he had a lot of experience and he can pass that experience on to the young players and they go out and win the ball game. Well, I'm an old English teacher, let's say, and I've got a lot of experience in teaching English. I know what you're going to go up against in your future careers. I know what you're going to need, the skills you're going to need. Let me pass those skills on to you so that you can become a success, be a star in your own way in your future career. And I think that appeals to them because they all have these football teams that they're big fans of, and they all know that the coaches, some of them are old famous players, and they can see the relationship. And when you can make that connection and let your students buy in to what you're trying to teach them, I think they're more than happy to follow your lead. Okay. Another thing I use the stopwatch online, stopwatch for, is to have, let's say, a small, at the beginning of the class, a small impromptu 2-minute lecture, a 2-minute speech, similar to what they do in Toastmasters for icebreakers. Students come in, we're getting ready to start the class. Okay, here's the bowl. It's got a bunch of topics in it. You don't know what it is. Somebody come up, take the topic, read it, and start to speak for 2 minutes. Go. And at first, when you first start this at the beginning of a semester, students are quite reluctant to get up there. Nobody wants to go up there first. People are always making fun of the person at first. But then, as they get used to it, they all start to participate more. If you have topics that are really interesting to them, like maybe manga or, let's say, race cars or football teams, then they can start to see how their skills as a communicator improve over the semester. And if we make videotapes of them in the beginning especially, they see how they move from the beginning where they're very nervous and they can't talk for more than maybe 30 seconds before freezing up, to where they become very smooth and articulate, and they can talk for 2 minutes or even more on a topic that they haven't really rehearsed yet. And I find that using the stopwatch in the background, the students in the audience start to participate, because if it's their friend and they start going, stretch it out, come on, you still got some more time. Or they might go, cut, time's almost up. that gets the audience to participate as well, and to see the interaction between those two is very rewarding. So things like this, the stopwatch.com, and there are other technology that I'd like to share with you later, further in an interview later on. Things we use here that I think are very helpful to students, not just here in Dubai, but students that would be in the college situation where they're making their presentations for their departments and things like that. So I think I have a lot of experience that I could use and I could be willing to share with the staff and faculty there at English Language Institute. So I'm looking forward to the main interview and hope to hear from you soon. I hope that the Gators won their game against Oklahoma, because I'm sitting right next to a guy that went to the University of Oklahoma, and we're just waiting for this weekend to see what happens. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it and hope to hear from you soon. Thank you very much.